Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. I'm sat in the swimming pool in my garden because I felt like I needed to do something a little bit different again today to lighten my mood, to approach a video to talk about, let's say, the aftermath of the important stuff other than the football and the result yesterday from the game against Brentford. And you guys know that before the 6 Things We Learnt video I dropped yesterday, the last video I posted was talking a bit about the protest that was outside Stamford Bridge yesterday. First thing, I think it is always going to happen when anybody who is a Chelsea fan who's built a social profile, you're never going to get everybody on board with these kind of things. There are going to be some, usually slightly older Chelsea fans who look at someone like me or somebody like Matisse who actually organised pretty much everything for that protest, so massive credit to him. You're never going to get full support of this. But again, at the same time, with football, it's very fickle in the sense of people can build upon a negative agenda, a negative energy based on the results on the pitch. We can kind of forget things when Chelsea are winning, but when Chelsea are losing, it absolutely expands all of the negativity tenfold. And I think yesterday, it could have been easy to look at the protest that happened before the game, the fact that, again, there was a lot of police outside the stadium, you got the Brentford bus coming in and Chelsea fans are all there and we're having to wipe people out the way basically to get the buses into the ground. So people can look at this and think, well, of course this will have a negative impact, potentially a hindrance on the focus of Chelsea players, because all of the fans, as much as we're there to support Chelsea, there is still the noise that's being made. But at the same time, Chelsea fans are the only ones who can actually go ahead and do anything about this. The players can't just be like, well, you know what? I don't want to play 90 minutes today, Mr. Tuchel. Can you put me on the bench, please? Because I want to hold up a sign that says, #no to rickets. You're never going to get this. Players can't do anything about that. So as fans, it's up to us to continue to try and do the best that we can with the time that we've got and with the voices we have to try and steer the club towards an outcome where everyone's going to be happy. And unfortunately, with the whole bid from the Ricketts, with the continued stories and noise that we're hearing, that it could actually be the winning bid because of how close they are with the Rain Group, with how Bruce Buck has spoken with them. There's plenty of little caveats right now which could also fuel like investigative, is that a word? I think you guys know what I'm trying to say at least. Other bidders will be looking at some of the treatments towards certain parties involved in this takeover of Chelsea right now and be like, well, do we even stand a chance here? Because it does seem as though there are preferential bidders in place. And for me as a fan, and I'm sure for you guys as fans too, when we see the voices of Chelsea fans fully backing the against side of a potential Ricketts family takeover, we're all kind of left having no reason but to get even more sad as a result of a crazy 4-1 defeat to Brentford. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, I woke up this morning, it felt atrocious. And I've always said the same, like, football is a huge dictator of my mood. If we win, I'm happier. If we lose, I'm slightly more grumpy, slightly more upset about everything. And that's just the nature of how seriously we take the love and support of our football club. But in terms of how can Chelsea forget about this with such a massive game against Real Madrid coming up in just a couple of days' time? Thomas Tuchel also alluded in a similar light to the way I alluded in the 6 Things We Learnt video, where I said it was exactly a year ago that we had that fluke result against West Brom. And even though towards the end of the Premier League season, we kind of crawled over the finish line to finish in the Champions League places because Leicester, Brendan Rodgers, they did a Tottenham on us. They bottled everything and then slipped out. And Chelsea getting beaten convincingly almost with the performance away at Villa on the last day. We got away with it. And then obviously winning the Champions League, 2 things. We got away with it and still would have gotten away with it even if Leicester was slightly better of a team because we won it. So therefore we re-enter it again. But the pressure we would have been under in that City game to go out there and actually get a result, just simply, not just to win the trophy, but for the financial implications involved of missing out on the Champions League. The pressure would have been massive. And when we talk about the pressure with this Chelsea team, there are so many great world-class players in this team. And I say that, and world-class is a word and a phrase that I've tried to tone down a little bit over the course of the past few years, because it is something that is thrown around now in football almost willy-nilly, a little bit too often. But when we look across the Chelsea team, you got Edouard Mendy in goal, world-class. You got Reece James, Thiago Silva, Tony Rudiger, world-class. Ben Chilwell out-injured, world-class. Azpilicueta, in his prime, was absolutely world-class. And even now, as captain of Chelsea Football Club, even though sometimes he doesn't have that exact same consistency of quality that we saw over the years, still a wonderful, wonderful defender playing at the top. Midfield, Kovacic, Kante, Jorginho on his day, you could all argue world-class. Hakim Ziyech, world-class left foot. Lukaku, £97 million striker, top scorer this season. Mason Mount, Pulisic on his day. You know, the list could go on, and you could make an argument for Chelsea players having, if not consistent world-class auras, but world-class ability, which in the Champions League final last year against a phenomenal Manchester City team, we managed to dig into that world-class and convincingly win the game 1-0. I say convincingly win the game because even if we didn't have hundreds of chances where Ederson saves Man City with just being the keeper, defensively, we made so many incredible last-ditch blocks that's also world-class. You know, it's not just always about free-flow attacking football that makes a team world-class. Teams don't just win 5-0 and get branded world-class. You can win 1-0 and put in a world-class display, and that's exactly what Chelsea did. And with that final, I think the reason Chelsea in the Champions League were so good is because there wasn't any distractions. All of the Super League stuff was no longer a distraction as soon as it was canned. So what that did to this Chelsea team, especially with Thomas Tuchel, he knew that when it comes to the Premier League, when it gets to these stages of the season, when you're in semi-finals of FA Cups, you're in quarter-finals of Champions Leagues, and you're still in like a relatively safe position in the Premier League, it can be that in these Premier League games, your focus is on Real Madrid in this coming game up in the week. Because for Chelsea to go and win back-to-back Champions Leagues, in absolutely nobody's vocal world is anyone going to say that getting in the top four from this position we're in now is a bigger achievement than lifting that trophy for the second year in a row. Or even simply getting into another semi-final final would be absolutely outstanding from this Chelsea team, in my opinion. To win back-to-back Champions League trophies, an English club's never done it. Real Madrid did it 3 in a row, but you look at that team and you look at the rest of Europe at the time and you think, well, of course, they were the favourites on paper. They got Cristiano Ronaldo, keeps delivering, Gareth Bale in finals too, Karim Benzema, Modric, Kroos, the list goes on, and they win 3 in a row. Mateo Kovacic has won it 4 flipping times. Incredible. And then at this moment for Chelsea, I said it in the video last night where it could be that all of this off-the-pitch chaos, all of this off-the-pitch drama has finally kind of hit a head. And people can start saying now that the deterioration of Chelsea Football Club could be about to happen if it continues to go down that path of the Ricketts family are going to take over. Fans won't be happy. Players, some of them, most of them, evidently won't be happy. Even those who don't even associate with a religion will see Muslim players in the Chelsea dressing room and looking at how they are also now obviously behind, with these people behind. There's a dog there. I don't know if someone's just walked into my house, but everybody will be affected by what happens by this decision. Some of them, there'll be an element of positivity about it where whoever comes in, the players will have to galvanise, they'll have to try and get behind the team. But if it is the Ricketts family, I do think that there is going to be a period of time where A, some players are going to want to leave. B, because of the unrest from fans, it will continue to have an impact on the Chelsea team and the results on the pitch, because you can see it with Tuchel's interviews. Even though still he holds his demeanour perfectly, and every time he speaks to the media, I'm like, we couldn't be any luckier to have a manager who can speak that well on behalf of our team, because he's brilliant in these situations. But if this bidding process does go down a path, which it could do right now, where the Ricketts actually get in, we're going to be in for a roller coaster of time. And the more news that we hear about the Ricketts, the more I don't like it. And again, it's always the same when a party is obviously the least favoured. People will go down as many paths as possible to continue to dig a grave for these people in terms of why we don't want them to be there. But this isn't just about like speculative opinion. These are facts that are coming out. You look at the Cubs, you look at what they've done, and since 2016, it's been nothing but downhill. In terms of investment, there is a very clear focus from Griffin, who's involved in this bid, that he wants to make money. And we're not used to an owner who is trying to make money. So as much as we all understand, I think, that we probably won't have the same scope of success that we experienced under Abramovich, I think it's great to contextualise what last night's result means, in the sense of it's very important in the day-to-day right now that we focus on what we do have, which is massive games with the ability to win trophies again in our control right now. So whatever negative impact anything off the pitch might have, what fan involvements may potentially have to deter the focus of players, management and staff, it could well get worse. And I think the reason I wanted to make this video today is because right now I think it's a melting pot, it's a bubbling pot right now for Chelsea fans of uncertain emotions that can boil over in times where you get beat 4-1 at home to Brentford in a Premier League game that 9 out of 10 times you'd expect to win. But I think, again, to back up what I said last night, to look forward to that Real Madrid game, we've got to now just back the players, back this team. Thomas Tuchel said it himself. He wants a better atmosphere for the game against Real Madrid. Some people might look at that and think, well, it's hard for us at the moment. No, Thomas Tuchel's basically just saying the atmosphere yesterday was flat. There was an alternative focus from quite a few people outside with the protest. And then what we saw from the players on the pitch, first half 0-0, boring, dead. Chelsea create nothing. Within 20 minutes of the second half, it looks as though the game's been lost, apart from one moment of magic from Tony Rudiger. And in order for this to not become a downward spiral, we absolutely have to adhere to what the manager's saying. Back the players, try and keep the focus now on supporting the boys, going into games, looking to win, looking to keep progressing. And within a week, we could look at this Brentford result and really look at it and say, that was a fluke. And I bloody hope that's exactly how it goes. Chelsea-Real Madrid in the Champions League is coming up this week. I'm buzzing for this game. Real Madrid have not been in the best of form either, but Benzema, all of them will be licking their lips watching what happened to us yesterday. We cannot let it happen. And in the same way that I promoted going outside Stamford Bridge and protesting against the Ricketts earlier this week in line with the game against Brentford, even though I'm sat here in a flipping pool on the other side of the world and I can't go to the Real Madrid game in the week and sit there and lose my voice for the name of Chelsea, everybody who's going to that match, we've got to now really home in the focus on the players, on the team. We've done all we can to try and sway this bidding process in whichever way possible we can. And even for me now, when we look at the way it's going with who's in bed with who, I guess you could say, for want of a better term, with this bidding process, with those involved, it's all about backing the team now. We can keep raising our voices for the No to Ricketts campaign, but I also do think that we need to make sure that everything that's going on off the field, Chelsea fans' channeled energy and support goes towards supporting this team who are going out there game after game. Real Madrid next. I'm buzzing. Hopefully this video can kind of relate with you guys a little bit, because I know after a defeat like this, we get our immediate after the match angry, sad reactions, and then the next day, we're kind of just looking for something else and we don't really want to keep talking about it. But contextually, with everything going on right now, I wanted to make this video today to kind of piece everything back together, to look forward. But yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe to GBFC if you are new around here and haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you somewhat agree with the points I've made in this video. And I'm going to jump out the pool because my feet are turning into prawns. See you later. Come on, you Blues.